All systems go. Clear for liftoff. What's up, everyone? Tyler Tamboline here, a.k.a. ToeTagginTambo, back for another edition, a little bit different, which we'll go through in a second edition of the PGA show here on the SHIPIT Nation YouTube station. Got Hoopster and myself, the usual Tuesday crew, breaking all things down, Cognizant Classic, and I said it on the Fantasy Golf Degenerates podcast. I am cognizant that it used to be called the Honda, and I know a lot of people still call it the Honda, so we can just stick with that. We got some great guys and girls out there in the chat I see already, so shout out to Go Collect. First in, but we'll start with the breakdown of everything, sort of everything that we've been talking about lately. I mean, this guy here, Woody, brings it up. First of all, no stream replaces that stream. There's nobody out there that can do what James does or as special as James does when it comes down to breaking that stuff down. But we will start with some of the news. Our guy, Degenerate75, if you guys watched on Monday, he's posted some stuff out on Twitter. He's got a little bit of things going on with his health. We're all thinking about him, praying for him, letting all that stuff come in. We appreciate the whole community being behind him, but he did post out last night another note. So we do just want to update you guys on the latest with our guy, Degen75. We're not looking to replicate his plan here or anything like that, where we do it. We're just going to do it at the same time or as close to it as possible that we can so that we can go through it here. And Hoop, I'll get you in here in a second, but just so people can see the note on the screen there, you guys can read that, go through it. We'll cover it more in a minute, but Hoop, I'll bring you in. We are going to do this on Wednesdays. For the time being, we'll talk through our content plan in just a moment, how that's going to look. But how you doing, my friend? Long couple of weeks here, but what's going on, man? What's happening?
Yeah, doing well. Excited to be here talking some PGA. In terms of schedule, kind of work with us. It's a fluid situation, but as it stands now, we're going to be here Wednesday afternoon. I know a lot of people are used to, 7 o'clock, the Lord's time zone? Well, yes. Guess what? If you like watching it at that time, the nice thing about YouTube is you can play back videos and watch it at any time you want. So feel free to tune in at any time. But this is when we're going to be going live for the foreseeable future. We had the first look on Monday, and then you get us again here on Wednesday. And then there's some premium stuff in the Discord with a specific package that we're going to – am I ahead of the releasing of the information on that? You could – in terms of the okay, all right. So just ignore Hoopster on that. But there's a message that could be coming out. A lot of people are saying, "Are you going to do the same format?" Like you said, man, we can't replicate what James does. His energy, his passion. That show was phenomenal. The only part we can replicate are the F-bombs, though. I've been known to throw a few F-bombs. I don't know if I'll get quite as many as our guy James does, but I'll be sure to mix in a few F-bombs along the way so you feel right at home. But we'll do our best. And like you said, you got the message up here on the screen that we can kind of talk through.
Yeah, you guys can see it here again. Go to X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, at the Degenerate75. I know James is out there watching. I appreciate you, man. Just thinking about you all the time here. Just want everybody to know what's going on, right? So we can keep everybody in the loop. Like he says here, he's not going to be doing the streams for the foreseeable future. We're just moving the time on the show. So realistically, we want to get it a day later. The cool part about doing it at this time for Hoop and I is I did the Mayo show this morning. So I have a lot better insight. What we like to talk about is not just the picks and plays, as James likes to say. We talk about the process. And now I've got a better idea of how some of these lineup builds will look, where the ownership is congregating at, and what we can do to get unique and different in those spots. So it should be a good show. Got some giveaways to talk about after, but just real quick, covering the shows. We're not really doing extra with this show. We just moved the time on it because we wanted to get it closer to what you guys are used to with the emergency stream. Like Hoop said, he's going to keep the F counter rolling probably just by naturally the way he talks, but the guy in the back might need a little poke, might need a little wake up back there just to keep the mojo flowing. But as far as the other stuff goes, like James had a team of guys behind him when he was in doing his stuff. So while he's out and while we wait for him to get back strong and healthy, we are going to still have the stone. We are still going to have the projections, the ownership. We're going to have the showdown stuff, all kinds of the other stuff, the sleepers, the model stuff will all be on the stone as it usually is. We're all working together as a team. One of the biggest things he said, and we talked about this on Monday, was that he didn't want to let others down. And I couldn't tell him enough that obviously he's helped thousands up. He's helped a ton of people in this space in the time he's been in the industry. It's been incredible. Now is the time to help himself, worry about himself, focus on that. So we're not going to let him down. We're going to focus on getting all this stuff out to all his members that came over in the merger, all the current SHIPIT Nation members, just making sure everybody is taken care of while he focuses on his health, is with family, and we'll know more. He's been updating us. We'll find out once we have a little bit more information. But for now, just thought we'd update. If you guys have any questions at all, hit us up in the chat here. Hit me up personally, whatever you guys want. I'll help answer whatever questions you might have. From a site perspective, just to show it off here, under PGA, the showdown stuff, projections, ownership, slate plan, we switched it up a little bit. I think people liked the format of it last week. The stone, these will all be updated still. The weather report from Deep Fat in the Discord will be out. The editor's helping, taking care of a ton. Monday, doing some of the stuff. There's just lots of people out there that are helping out. The stone will still be there. The one thing missing, we don't have the sleepers while I'm sleepy and the model breakdown video, but the model even was out this week. So just doing as much as we all can to step up and help out. We hope you guys can appreciate it. If there's anything else you need, like I said, please reach out. Let us know directly. One note, if you're over on X now as well, just the giveaways. We did want to talk about this off the top before we hop into it, was that Hoop and I did this 2-hour course on the DFS process, our process, breaking it all down. I hear a lot of people talking about bankroll management, contest selection, like the big guy always talks about, just all in the chat. Oh, this chalk guy, that chalk guy, what do I do with them? We talk all through that in the roster construction segment. So this course is 2 hours, and that's edited down. We did a lot longer, but then we just took the pieces, based them out so that we could get you 2 solid hours. You can skip ahead to whenever you want. Hoop and I both had huge weeks just a couple weeks ago. Many other members joined us. But just want to say, if you guys want to go to my X/Twitter at ToeTagginTambo, all you have to do is like, repost, and then follow at SHIPIT Nation. We're going to be giving away 3 copies of that 2-hour course. Hoop, did you have anything else you wanted to add before we get into it here?
The last thing was the promo, the Hoop 15, to get in the drawing for the 555 ticket. See if pull that up real quick. Oh,
you got, I got it there.
There it is. All right, cool. Yeah, so last opportunity to get in, use the code Hoop15. Gets you 15% off any package that we offer. Puts you in the drawing for the 555 ticket. I gave away 4 555 tickets after the big win at the Genesis. So if you still want to have an opportunity to win one of those tickets, you got to use that code Hoop15. You have the plans up here, PGA only plans. We obviously have all access plans. Whatever you prefer there.
Yeah, the golf only are here. It's 15% off whatever. So obviously if you take the annual down, which it does now include the swing season, etc., you can go to that. You want all access memberships. The best deal by far is if you just go down to the annual. It drops it to about $509, but it is for 8 major sports, as opposed to, like we always say, there's just other sites out there that are charging just $500 for one single sport. We will break down the stone a little bit later. We've got last week's just to give you guys an idea, but if you do want some free other content, this has been a spot. Our guy Lee is just killing it. It is free every week to go to shipitnation.com, click value report, maybe more on that in the future. But just to note it, if you go to value report, you can see this for free every week. And Lee goes through free from Lee every week. Shipitnation.com, the value report. You guys can go check that out. If you want to see his tier rankings and more, you got to get in. If we get 150 likes on this video while we're watching live, which is going to take some effort right now, just 160 watching. So we got to keep it rolling, but 150 likes, we will give away the top 10 in the Course Fit rankings. And they've been absolutely crushing it over these past few weeks. Hoop, anything that you've got with weather for this event? I know we had some people talking in the Discord today. We can start with the weather, the course setup, what you're looking for in golfers, and then get into it from there.
Yeah, I'm not seeing really an advantage one way or the other. I mean, you can always, to your point, you always talk about this, which I think is very valuable. You can always wave stack. You can always go all AM guys or all PM guys and hope something happens, or hope there's just like a naturally built-in advantage to one of those waves. But in terms of knowing an advantage, seeing a clear advantage this week, I don't see it. So I'm just playing it straight up. And again, if you are someone that plays the wave stacks, you can always do that regardless of what you see in the weather. So nothing standing out to me.
Yeah, this was asked to my favorite, segment for sure. That's turned into it, from Max Home Alone all the way up to like last week with the Super Troopers and everything. But as the editor says, it definitely would not be the same without the big guy commentating. So like we said, let's get him back healthy and strong, coming back to do those videos for everybody that enjoys them, myself included. As far as the weather goes, Hoop, I'm just going to click this back now so we can get back to normal here. the setup of the weather, I had it up here earlier. I'll try and pull it up again now just to see. But Mayo and I were looking at it earlier. It really does come down to like what you said, where if you want to look at it, I think our guy OG John, who was in the Discord today, he's at the event live and he was breaking everything down. I think he said earlier he's here. He said I'm at the pub now, so perfect timing. But shout out to him, just throwing a ton of stuff in there. John, we appreciate you. He was saying that, like Andrew, boots on the ground, everyone's getting minute by minute practice round updates, but some of the stuff for the storm was moving up on the weekend, which was then pushing it up a little further for that wind and stuff into Thursday, Friday. I guess the chat can decide what you would rather have. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to stack at all. I like wave stacking. Mayo and I talked about this earlier. Another good reason to do this after that show, kind of having some fun, sort of getting the angles that I want to take deeper, was that the setup of some of the natural chalk. Like if you go and look at it and see who are the guys that are the chalkiest this week and see, okay, if up top, at least Rory, the most popular, probably the most expensive guys, besides we'll see maybe Henley. We'll have that stuff up for you guys around 5:30, 6 Eastern. We'll have it up on the site. But just looking at it, Benny Ann, Shane Lowry, JT Poston. If you keep going, a lot of guys in the morning tee times are popular. So if you go PM/AM, you could just naturally get off some of those guys, and then that would be where you're not playing those dudes in that spot. So I think that's how you can just – I was saying it with Mayo. It's not always wave stacking. There's weather wave stacking, and then there's just wave stack. You just stack guys in waves. You can pick your pockets for certain events. You can – last week we saw some of the guys that started out very first thing in the morning in Mexico got crushed. But if you had taken that sort of middle wave, you would have had a bunch of guys that did good over that time. So I definitely think that's something else to consider as well. Could be Travis with all the spoiler alerts. I'm done doubting Lee Aldridge. Kisner can't be on there. Come on. Kisner and Ben Taylor? Nah, I know who's on there, but we appreciate it. Could be Travis keeping the money in Canada, like he always likes to say. But if you wanted to take on the weather, I do want to know what the chat thinks. If you had same, would you still like PM/AM at this course? Because, man, going through the bear trap with the pressure of the cut on the line and getting through it can be a real challenge. And there is winds heavy pretty much all day Friday, but in the afternoon, definitely they're still there. The gusts, all that comes with it. It's tough taking on that bear trap with a lot of pressure on the line. So I don't mind some PM/AM lineups anyway.
Yeah, and I guess then you got to see, like, are they starting on the front? Are they starting on the back? So there's a lot of factors. I mean, you have to dig in and see, are they truly, fully finishing in the bear? But aren't the holes like 5, 6, 7 just as hard as the bear trap, right? I mean, there's two really difficult stretches on each 9 of this course. I mean, it's one of the more challenging, although they did change the 1 from a 4 to a 5, a par 4 to a 5. So the scores are going to probably look a little bit better. And it did play a little bit easier last year compared to other years. But no, I mean, yeah, you can definitely do that stuff. I mean, is it something I do? I'll be honest with you. No, I don't. Like, I don't. I'm, kind of back to focusing in on 15 to 20 teams. I found my sweet spot in PGA. And this is something we always talk about in terms of strategy, which I did want to bring up again. The past couple of years, I was really focused on 150, and that was my main focus when building teams. And I always talk about this. We talked about in the education course at length, and just DFS in general, you have to reevaluate your play. You do, and you and I have talked through this. I know we've had multiple conversations. I can remember 4 weeks ago, talking to you. I'm like, listen, I'm not having the success in the 150 streets of PGA. I'm going to switch it up and go back to what I was doing before. I know this is off on a little bit of a tangent, but it's important stuff. Told you, I'm not having the success with 150. I'm going to switch it back, go to my old style where I was building 15 to 20 teams, had a lot of success doing that and really honing in on those teams. And then boom, what do you know, a $250,000 week, but I had success, 2 weeks before that. I had success leading up to the big week. And then you had the $250,000 weekend. And then last week I had teams in contention too. So always important to change what you're doing. As people in the chat, I haven't found it yet this year. Take a step back, try something different, see what you can do. Maybe focus in on showdown. So it's just really important in terms of the strategy aspect of it, bankroll management aspect of it. You always need to be reevaluating your game. And I don't even know how I got on this path of talking about it, but it's an important conversation. You need to reevaluate where you're at. And that's what I did coming into this PGA season. I told you, I said, man, I'm getting away from the 150. I'm going back to the 15 to 20 teams. I'm going to focus in on that. And I was able to get the job done. And I think it's something that everyone should do. If you're not finding the success, take a step back, reevaluate, and maybe look at doing things a little bit differently.
Yeah, all part of the giveaway too. We talked about, but that's where we broke it down. We talked single entry, 3 max, 20 max. I mean, we've been talking about this since the start of the season in that course. So I definitely think that's something you could go with. We talked about bankroll management. We broke down the actual math for people. I think that's one of the other things we saw a lot in the Discord. I know we like to keep the process talk up, is just based on people saying, oh, I've had 3 bad weeks. I think I got to give up DFS golf. I mean, you have to decide what's best for you, and getting in on there, from the start of the season, I broke it down. Even if you're like a $50 a week or $100 a week player, you're talking about, and that's like $60 for the main slate, $20 for round 2, round 3, round 4 for $120. You're still talking about $5,000 you need to have a plan for the year. Now, do you need a full $5,000 up front? Because you're probably not going to lose it all each week if you do follow the course and have good contest selection and that sort of stuff. If you're playing the $1 winner take all, like my boy Kenny Kim, probably not going to go very well for you. If you can get around and get into that good contest selection, you can make it work. And I see you pulled up Trey's comment there. That's the outside the giveaway. That's the whole point. Not only do you get the PGA course, we have an NBA course, we have an NFL course, and we've got more courses coming that will be coming out sooner than later that do come with all the memberships over at SHIPITNation.com. Also, somewhere the big guy is smiling. Could be Travis says. I saw, speaking of that, I'm not smiling. I'm scared. Could be Travis posted his crane shot in our Discord of how high up he is right now watching the show. I mean, the guy's insane. So not for me. I do like this call. Johnny Hunter says, I love that PMAM angle, but he's got a good point with guys going off 10. I wasn't really saying it that way. I know Hoop took it that way, and I get what you're saying too. I'm saying more, even if it's not the bear trap down the stretch, I'm saying the higher winds in the afternoon and the pressure of the cut line is why it works on any course. You add in harder holes, like Jack says, to your point, 5, 6, 7 is actually harder for sure. One note that John gave us today from the course that I thought was pretty interesting, especially if you're going to play Showdown, even in round 1, get ahead of it. People just watching this show. It's not like there's going to be, 10,000 people to watch this, so get involved. But round 1 Showdown, he mentioned that we know about 10 getting extended to be a par 5. Not many, not going to be about a lot of eagles or something out there, so you can make birdies. 9 definitely, 8 is fine, but he said 9 was really gettable. So 8, 9, 10 is your streak there. You got to get through the hard holes, but that's if you're starting on 1, that would give you a better chance at the streak opportunity looking at 8, 9, 10, right? So just keep that in mind for tomorrow, for your Showdown stuff over the weekend. I think that's definitely something you could look at as well. And then Go Collect, always a good supporter out here, said, I think you could use that pressure as a tiebreaker for your lower priced golfers. But hey, it could be for your higher priced golfers too. Some of these guys, man, Rory, Fitzpatrick, what if they're not playing up to snuff, right? That's kind of the thing too. Or if you don't like some of those guys, that you can make fun of them that way. So I definitely think there's other ways that you could go with it. And then this one, Hoop, and we'll get into these tiers. We got a different game for you guys today too. Very interactive. So get your like button going, subscribe to the channel, and then be ready to type. Because if you can type, you can hit the like. If you can't hit the like, take a hike. That's what we always say on this show. Cody says, at a course like this, are you looking more at course history over current form? And I'll give you an example when we get to Tom Hoagie later on. It's like 3 top 20s coming in. Horrible at this course. Which do you go with there? What do you side with?
Yeah, it's the age-old question in DFS, not only at this course, all courses, because anytime we come, we have a lot of golfers, and some guys have played well here in the past, some have not. It's tough. I don't know what's right or wrong, but for me, I'm weighing recent form over course history almost every time. And there's examples of that in this field that you talked about. Doug Gim, I think, is another, right? Playing really well, has not played well here. And then you have the opposite side of that in Sepp Straka, not necessarily playing great, but does have good course history here. So for me, it's typically recent form over course history. But again, I'm not saying that's the right way to go about it. That's just, kind of how I do it.
Yeah, and everyone's process is different. So that's kind of the key. But I do, like you said, that's how you're going to break it down and go from there. And you guys got to decide what's best for you. I know some people that do build sort of course history lineups. They'll say, I'll just build them off of that. Or I know right now people are building course fit rankings lineups, which the update is we just hit 100 likes. So I'll throw one out there for my guy, James. The 86 slapdicks out there that haven't hit the like button. So we got 100 likes, 186 watching. Let's do that. Let's keep it rolling. And Jack says this best. I agree fully. So I'm sticking with you. Mondo says recent form putting, but this one, not usually a place to find your form on. There is a couple guys that, we saw it. I was teasing Mayo earlier today. This man's up at 11 o'clock at night, putting out stats and stuff to validate his Matt Fitzpatrick pick. And I just thought that was funny. I was like, oh, you're really into this one. You're really trying to make this work, when really all he has to do is go take his shirt off, hit a beach, take a pick and get it going, because that's how I got him to Jake.
It does. The names don't matter at that point. I mean, whatever comes out of your mouth is going to be a winner. So I mean, he doesn't need to worry about the names that come out.
That's right. All right, let's do this. What we're going to do different though, guys, we're going to go through these tiers. Hoop is saying, especially this week, he said it last week too, but this week he says he's having a really tough time sorting out some of these guys in each range. And what was it going to be? Keep or cut?
It's going to be keep or cut. So I'm going to try to find a guy in each range. Like my player pool is too big right now. Like I went through before the show this afternoon. I got the content up last night, this morning, and then I sat down and tried to build my teams after lunch. And I got too many guys. So we're going to go through and I'm going to find guys in each tier. It's going to be called keep or cut. You guys can post in the chat what you think I should do. And honestly, with the combination of you and the chat, we're slimming down Hoop's player pool here along the way.
Yeah, I like that. And, talking about some of these guys, we'll get to them here in a second. So let's start at the top. Rory, Cam Young, Matty Fitz, Russell Henley, and Tom Kim. And I'll have this up in the slate plan after we hop off the show, but just going through some of it now and thinking out loud now that I had the show with Mayo and being able to sort of read through it and see it. It looks like Rory maybe is not as high owned as what we would have originally thought, just because, we looked at some of the builds. He's still easy to get to. He's still probably 25% range, but it's, dependent. Does he get to 30 plus, or does the fact that there's so many guys in that 9K range that stand out and so many guys in the 7K range that are getting congested ownership just make it so that he sort of sits around 25 to 28% range? We'll see when we get the update later, but it looks like him. And then it looks like Henley is going to get steamed up as well. Fitz, Tom Kim, Cam Young are the guys that will come in a little bit under, but there is savings dropping to like a Cam Young, Matty Fitz from Rory McIlroy. So how do you see this upper 10K range, Hoop?
Yeah, I'm gonna be on that lower range for Rory in terms of what I expect his ownership to be. I think it is under 30. People are gonna really like these balanced type builds, despite there being a 5K range this week. Like there's some solid options in the 9Ks that we'll get to. There's solid options in the 8Ks, and if people have the choice of going balanced, they typically do it. And we can throw out some 2v2s, Rory and one guy versus 2 8Ks or 2 9K guys. It's just going to look so much better going the 9K 8K range. I think a lot of people do it. I'm projecting Rory to be probably, I wouldn't be surprised if it got as low as like 22-23%. So am I playing Rory? Yes. How much? I don't know. I feel fine. Like I typically like, making stands if I'm going to be on a guy, get overweight. I'm fine just being around where Rory's going to be this week. I don't know. Do I absolutely love him? No. Could he get it all together and dust the field? Yes. He's clearly the best guy in this field, but the game hasn't been all that strong lately. I'm fine just having some Rory and not doing anything crazy there. Cam Young. I like being on Cam Young this week at 10-7, starting to kind of turn the corner a little bit. Back-to-back solid results. I could see him continuing on. Matt Fitzpatrick, I can't pay that fucking price tag. So there's an F-bomb for you guys. If we don't have the counter, but there's one for you. I am not paying 10-6 for Fitzpatrick. I understand he's going to be low-owned. If he beats me, he beats me. I'm happy with that. I think you nailed the Henley thing. I think Henley's the one that gets more ownership than we were anticipating. I was lukewarm on 10-2 Russell Henley when we talked on Monday. But man, everything just lines up for him at this course. So I'll be on him, but I do think that ownership does come up on him. I think he could end up being one of the higher owned guys on the slate. So again, if you are playing him, be careful what you do with the other spots, not, who you play, how you play them. And then Tom Kim at 10-1. It's going to be our first keeper cut guy because, man, with Henley above him, Eric Cole, JT Poston below him, I think Tom Kim could get squeezed here. I think his ownership could end up much lower than we think. Yep, there it is. Tom Kim, keeper cut. Currently have him in. I think I can get overweight by playing, not overweight. I think I can have enough ownership if I play like 10, 11, 12% of him because I think he does come in low owned, but he's a fringe play for me right now. So I need the opinion on Tom Kim. Is Tom Kim a guy I should keep or should I X his ass out of my player pool?
I think you should keep him. Me personally, okay. I'll see what the rest of the chat says. I let a bunch pop in first, but it does seem like people would rather have him, a bunch of keeps. We said keep for leverage was the one I was trying to pull up here. Keep for leverage. I mean, that's the thing. Russell Henley, I don't know what our guy, the big guy, would say about Rory because sometimes he could get like I know he doesn't like Rory. He'll make fun of him, but I don't know if he'd be chalk because if you think about that, it's about what's around him. And yeah, you could say like Cam Young fits, but like they're not ideal. And if he stays in check at 25, there's so many ways. One thing I will say about Rory as people start rolling their stuff into the chat is you can play Rory with another stud up top. You can play Rory and skip the 9Ks and get rid of that FOMO of all that ownership. So it's probably like, it's not ideal, and we don't even know what's going on with him in his game, but I could see still using him. I can assure you Russell Henley would be donkey chalk. And it's because there's so many guys above and below him that you can get to. And again, it doesn't mean what I think. It's not who you play, it's how you play him. Do this one for us. Hoop, we need another app.
I am not good with replicating people's voices. I can just do the straight F-bomb. I can't do the other stuff that goes along with it. I get laughed off the stage here. Like I stay in my lane.
Get him back in his lane, guys. We got to get him. So what you're saying is you don't want to go off the tracks. So maybe you keep Tom Kim on the tracks. Right. So maybe he is a keep if we go back to it there. I
do have it on. I have the spot here on my notepad. So you give the keep, and it looks like a majority of the chat say keep. So Tom Kim is in, baby.
We don't play donkey chalk except when we do. And that's the thing. I'm the except when we do guy. If there's a guy in the back right next to him, the except when we do guy, it's me. Because I'm always playing him. Last week was funny, but he had Nikolai Højgaard on the thing, just getting his head chopped off. And James goes, I know Tambo's playing his ass. It's like the perfect one. He made the cut, and then he fell. Talking about going off the tracks, it was that guy. Yeah. So, man, it happens to the best of us. But I think up top, like you said, with Rory, I'm still fine with Henley. I guess Fitzpatrick would have to come last. I know like the stuff, he found it here last time or whatever. I said to Mayo today, this is what's going to happen. I just see it vividly. Rory's going to win. We're finally going to get someone just dust the field when everyone wants mid-tier only and everyone bet the 40, 50, 60 guys. And Rory will win. Fitz will do bad. Next week at the API, where Rory just crushes, everyone will be back all aboard. Speaking of trains, all aboard the Rory train. We got to stick with it again. Everyone that missed out this past week. And then it'll be the opposite. Fitz will show up like he did last year at the API and Rory will fall off. So that's how I'm seeing it. But I think Tom Kim is good leverage because he's also squeezed, which is good segue to the next range between Henley and then the next version of wherever you want to go with this. Cole, Poston, Sungjae. Sungjae's not getting much ownership, but I think he could get steamed a little if we were thinking about it. And then Benny Ann is going to be popular as well. So I'll try and tally up some of these hoop while you go into the 9K range, just get an idea of the keeper cut. But talk to us through Keith Mitchell, former winner, up to Eric Cole, 9,900 this year.
Yeah, and this is why I think you end up seeing, more balanced builds prevail this week. I mean, I plugged in Rory, and let's just, for the sake of this, give me a $6,800 guy. I'm just plugging in Ben Griffin. That equates to 19,000 in salary with Rory and Ben Griffin. So let's come up to this 9K range. We can play, essentially Shane Lowry and Sungjae or Rory and Ben Griffin. It just looks so much nicer with that Rory or with that Lowry and Sungjae or whatever combination of these 9K guys that you want to play. So that's why I think Rory comes in a little bit lower. In terms of this 9K range, looks solid all around. I mean, Eric Cole is a very strong option this week. A lot of people are on him. He's going to be highly owned. And I guess that kind of just goes to the point of Tom Kim, where his ownership has to be kept in check here because of Eric Cole, because of Russell Henley. So yeah, it does make sense, I think, to keep the Tom Kim in play here, because if I play 10% of Tom Kim, I think I have a chance to be at least with the field, which I'd be good with. Cole, I think Poston's a great play at 9.8. I mean, I'm a JT Poston guy. I play him all the time. I mean, I think this is a nice setup for him. And again, should not be super popular because I think more people go to Cole over Poston. I like both, but I think Poston is a totally fine pivot. Is this a get right spot for Sungjae where, he's had some success? He's 9.7K, has not played well recently. Early in the week when we talked on Monday, I wasn't all that excited, but man, now Sungjae M over, some of these unproven guys right around him at low ownership. I think I got to be in on him. Minwoo Lee's a guy I just play, and I plan on playing him this week. I think he has a chance to get squeezed a little bit. Benny An right below him is going to get some ownership. You have Chris Kirk, who started out pretty hot, has slowed down a little bit. But again, I think this course could set up nicely for him. Shane Lowry, Berger is you got to. I'm not going deep into Berger. You got to check out the content over at SHIPIT Nation to get my full takes on Daniel Berger this week. Corey Connors, I do like here, and then Keith Mitchell has been playing well, played well last week. I think he could have some success here. So this is a tough range for me because I do want to play a lot of these guys here. When we get into the 8K range, and this is where my take really hasn't changed much from Monday, where I like a lot of these guys in the 9K range. I can find some fades, I think, in the 8K range. So I'm going to be on a lot of these guys to, some varying degree. But the one guy in this range, the keeper cut option is going to be Chris Kirk. And I'm a Chris Kirky guy. I like Chris Kirk a lot, but 94 for him kind of has fallen off a little bit lately. Do we keep Kirky in the player pool or do we cut his ass this week? That's the guy in this range.
So Tom Kim was 13-6 plus my vote was, we'll count mine worth 2 maybe just to make it an even 15. So 15-6. You got crushed.
So now you're saying you get extra votes in the chat?
Only if it's like biased, and I think you should use Tom Kim. So I like that call. I can tell you this:
cuts are piling up quick for Kirky.
The one segment that people love so much that we can almost keep, and I can tell you right now, Eric Cole, Benny Ann for sure, and probably Shane Lowry. All would be very red with the donkey chalk sound effect because who said it here? I know we're getting a lot of these coming in, and I'll go back to it in a second. But Ben said a good point that I didn't even talk to off the top. It's not even. It is actually, exactly as he said. The nature of the course. I thought he said water only, but it is the nature of the course, the setup. It's hard. The water, all this. Like you said, it's just some of the ownership game that you could normally play. And we talked about recent form. Well, just in this 9K range, if you still go like Poston's form is still fine. Minwoo Lee was really hot, and some of the DP World Tour stuff that's not showing up. Who's the other guy here? Chris Kirk before this recent miscut was fine. Corey Connors has been fine. Like there's just a bunch of guys in this range that you could play instead, and I just wouldn't have that much of a problem with it. So I think for me, it's like that's how you got to look at this tournament as a whole. Yeah. And so Sungjae, the one thing I will say is definitely a spot that I'm okay going back to him, like a get right spot. I think Mayo brought it up today, or somebody else did. I mentioned it in the chat earlier about it was only like a month ago when he's setting the record for birdies in an entire field like this at a course that it was just fine. So, I mean, you come back to a course he's won on. I don't think he's completely out of it yet or anything like that. So Min Woo, who you mentioned, definitely pops a little bit here. Corey Connors actually looks like he's getting steamed up a little, but I still don't mind him at 9,100 with the ownership there. It's fine. And then probably going to a guy like Poston and Mitchell, like those would be sort of the other two that I consider heavy there. There is some heavy course fit ranking stuff in here, and we are at, let me see the refresh on this. We are at 136. So I think we're going to get to the course fit rankings. We'll save those to the end, but Hoopster, cut. Like, man.
Yeah, a lot of cuts. But I will say there's a chance I'm gonna stick to the chat and your opinion on a lot of these. There is a chance, regardless of the outcome here, that I do keep Chris Kirky in my player pool. I like some of these guys in this 9K range. Struggled to find someone for the keeper cut segment, but it is Kirky. But I could potentially keep him even if the vote goes the other way.
Yeah, that's what he's going to do anyway, guys. He said he's not going to listen to you. Listen to this guy. Starts this new segment, interactive game. Come join us. Come one, come all. By the way,
I just like all these guys. In other ranges, I'm sticking to the chat.
F your answers. I'm going with it anyway. But no, he wants to know. It could be Travis knows. I think he said earlier, too, about the intervention. It did not happen. It's not going to happen. I still believe in this guy. We'll let it run just a little bit longer. If he doesn't figure it out this week, probably in trouble. I did not, spoiler alert on this one, did not put him into any of my cores, at least, I did not put him into. So I kept people off it from that angle. I've got love for him, though, and I'm going to still take chances on him. I like his game. I think it's going to be fine. It obviously is a course that we can see him get the job done at. Anything else in this 9K range, Hoop? If not, take us into the interesting 8K range. I just don't see beyond a few guys there. I get it. But like, this is where I keep saying the same thing is this is the range where people are going to say, oh, I can't play him because he's getting steamed up or he's getting a little bit of ownership. But in reality, these are the guys that are 12 to 15 that you can just play 20 to 25 of and get a ton of leverage still without worrying about the number. Like, oh, he's actually, this is where the one, what's going to happen? The classic Discord every week or the classic out on X Twitter where it's like, man, I thought he was going to be like 12 and then he came in at 14.5. That's insane. It's like, it was the same thing. What was the difference? Like, play them or don't is what I would say in this range. So I'll add these up on Kirk. What are you doing in this 8K range?
Yeah, drops off for me quite a bit in terms of my interest level. I mean, I like a lot of those guys in the 9K, and I think this is the biggest drop off in this field, going from the 9s to the 8s. Like, I think there's a lot of similarities between the 8s and the 7s, the 7s, the 6s, the 6s and 5s. When you go all the way down, to me, this is the biggest drop off. Denny McCarthy at 8-9. I don't know, like maybe Steven Yeager, I will play at 8-8. I like him quite a bit. Matthew Pavon at 87. I've been playing the guy. I've been riding him. I will stay on him for sure. I mean, he's top 7 or better in 3 out of his last 4 events. If you include like one of the DP World Tour events, he's top 5. Guy's playing some phenomenal golf right now. Really like him at 8-7. Sepp Straka is that situation we talked about in the opening, where he's got, good course history here, but, hasn't been playing the greatest. Missed 2 out of his last 3 cuts. I think he does get some ownership because of the course history. I think I'm good staying off of him. Hogard at 85, moderately interesting. I'll pass. I'll take a nap on Nap this week at 8-4. Glad he got the win last week. Not going there this week. Bo Hostler, Noren, not much interest. Luke List, I don't think this is a good course for him. And then you got Justin Rose down there at 8K. So, my main takeaway in this range is just really prefer the guys above these 8K golfers and prefer the guys below in the 7K range. So not going to have a lot. My favorite play by far, though, is Pavon at 87. I'm staying on him. And I feel like it's one of those situations. If you've been playing his ass, you need to stay on him. If you haven't been playing him, maybe don't get on him. But I'm on him. I've been on him. So he's my favorite in this range. But the guy, the keeper cut option in this range, and I'm leaning one way already, but I just wanted to get the verification from you in the chat. It's going to be Justin Rose. What are we doing with Justin Rose? Are we keeping his ass or cutting him?
Yeah, we'll go to him in a second. Matthew Pavon. Matthew, stay on for Mr. Hooper.
Stay on.
He says
there
he's
it
going to be on this guy. Stay on him, he says. So I don't know. The one thing I do want to talk about quick, though, is my guy Two Hearted here, and it was 16-8, by the way, was the cut, Chris Kirk. But people said it's your boy, Hoop, and they said course fit rankings, which we can spoil because we're going to get enough likes. But if you guys are just joining us, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. We got lots more free shows coming out there. Rasmus says Hoops ranked RG. I did get some messages about the playful tweet, by the way. Everyone saw we love RG. We talk about him all the time. So we say our friends. I always tell the story. Dan Bach, Cal, Cam, just incredible dudes. Both Hoop and I worked there in the past. We teased them today and said, welcome. They joined Team SHIPIT Nation. There's always the battle of what team you're on. Looks like their new color scheme says they're on Team SHIPIT Nation. So we welcome them to the blue, black, and white squad. But congrats to them. Always doing good things.
I will say, in regards to those rankings, yes, I agree with all that. But in regards to those rankings, probably, I guarantee I've made a hell of a lot more money on PGA this year than a lot of those fellows ahead of me. So I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, gotta let them know, right? That's the rankings are obviously very volume based. I mean, it is what it is. Just sometimes sets up that way. But as far as Two Hearted goes, I think this is a good spot to have a little process conversation quick about this range. Like I said earlier, if you've got Steven Yeager at 13 or 14, you got Sepp Straka at 13 or 14, Hostler at 13 to 15. Like, yes, some of these guys have a little bit of ownership. Luke List, another one, but so does Hoagie, Svensson, Bez, guys below. So do the guys above. We just talked about how heavy that 9K range is going to be. This range is a spot you can go, and it takes a little bit of, there's going to be some FOMO there, some fear of missing out on that 9K range. If you want to, and you don't have to skip it. There's other ways. You can go 9Ks with 8Ks. There's lots that you can do. I'll break down more in the slate plan after, but I do just want to say that if you look at it, like if you had Rory, that's why I said you can get away with Rory, because regardless what his ownership is, if you just don't go Rory with another stud or Rory with a Cole or Rory with a Lowry or whatever people end up doing, you can hop down to this 8K range and get different. And I don't care what anybody says, like who is really going to Pavon or McCarthy or Rasmus, Nikolai's brother, going back to the well on Jake Knapp, who got cheaper after a win. Usually that doesn't work. Like usually they get more expensive after a win. There's been better numbers in the past. Guys actually do better when their prices drop after win. Someone did a big study on it a couple of years ago. I remember reading it. So little things like that stand out. Usually people want Noren and List and Hostler, and all those guys are sort of just even keel, 10 to 15% range. You can get huge leverage in there still if you want it. So like Two Hearted says, if you want to just get different, cut all the 9Ks, and you can do it in some lineups. You don't need to do it in all. You can build out in sets and some lineups. Just make your player pool first. Exclude everybody. Bring in what you want from everything you've heard. build how you want. And then maybe you build some AM only lineups. Maybe you build some PM only lineups, but you could certainly just remove the 9K guys and see what your best build looks like with some of the guys you like, projections, ownership mixed in, product ownership, all those things that we talk about, where you can find a pretty unique but natural single entry lineup. And that's why I always call it virtual hand building when you have the optimizer. You don't just need it for 150. Like Hoop said, back to 15 lineups, you can hand build those out, but you could still take an optimizer, get your pool together and say, let me piece through some of these lineups to see which ones make sense. And maybe you see something that you didn't see when you were hand building. Hand building, you're naturally just going to go to a 7K balance build or something like a lot of people do. In an optimizer, you'll see, holy shit, I got this guy and this guy. That's way different. I'm skipping another range, and that's something I can get away with here. So lots of different ways that you can do it. Who was the cut down here for you, Rose?
Justin Rose, yeah, keeper cut it on Rose. It looked like a lot of keeps, just to be honest with you, right out of the gate. It keeps came in strong. Keep. Yeah, he's got to be a keep based on the chat. But you have the you have veto power, or you have like the extra.
No,
votes
I've only got extra votes, so this one's going to vote underneath. It looks like there's not many. Are you sipping on a White Claw? Travis wants to know. Celsius. Yeah, it's a Celsius. Who else?
Not yet on the White Claw. I've been off the White Claws. I've been on the if I do the seltzers, it's the neutrals. Have you ever had neutrals?
Yes.
Yeah, I like the neutrals. I think it's better flavor. So I'm more a neutral guy than a White Claw guy.
People like the high noons as well.
Yeah, I don't mind the noons. I prefer the neutrals though. Neutrals are my fave if you're going to the seltzer stuff.
I'll tell you what though, once we rehashed it, it may have set it up where the cuts are more popular. Once we said
cuts came in strong.
All of a sudden the cuts rolled in. So I think that's the difference. And yeah, Nick, I'm trying my best to give the process tips. I definitely think that's one that you could use for this week. Time together. Like I said, not only the idea of skipping a range, not because you don't like the guys, but instead of worrying about who your picks are in that range and you can't leave them behind, there's no way that you could just leave them out of your pool. You don't have to. You can do it differently and build in some others. But I think for some single entries where you think that's going to be a popular setup, either multiple 9Ks or a Rory with a 9K and drop down, or a Henley with a 9K and drop down, there's definitely ways to get different without going to those guys at all. Neutrals are the shit. Or
he's even got the little dots over the U. Like that's a legit statement right there. He's got it really set up.
Yeah, high noons. Someone said
I used to do the IPAs though, but like, man, it's like you can only have a few, and then that just starts fucking with your stomach. Like I don't know. It's like I like IPAs. If I'm gonna drink a beer, I want to feel it. So I get the concept there. It tastes a little bit better than just a regular beer, but man, like you get older, you start having stomach issues. Those IPAs are harder to digest.
It's just heavy too. Like if you go in the gym and stuff like that, you want to just sort of balance it out. It's tough to get to. I like tequila personally, so just stick to that and find your drinks that way. But in this 8K range, I'm very interested. Denny is one that I like. I always like my boy Steven Yeager. I like Rasmus. I like Hostler. I like List. I like Norin. I mean, I like majority.
You do like List. List was almost a keeper cut guy, so you're on List, huh?
Like Luke List, yes. So he's good. Justin Rose was a cut for me. That's just me. So again, 2 votes, however you want to shake it out. But the chat was pretty close.
He got cut. It's an official cut. Yeah.
Justin Rose.
Cut. He gone.
Cut. All right.
The guy in the back.
Guys,
the guy in the back.
Guys in the 7K range. Take us into the 7K range. What are you doing with this one?
Yeah, so Hoagie been playing very well. We've talked about him a lot. We talked to him on the bottom on the Monday show. 6th, 17th, 8th. I'm just staying on Tom Hoagie. I mean, the course in theory should set up well for him. I'm staying on Svensson. I like Svensson at that $7,700 price tag. Olesen, big drop. He was 10,000. Now he's down to 7,700. Undecided on him, but Brenton Todd's a guy, again, should play well here. Has been playing pretty solid. You look at his recent results, a lot of top 30s, a couple top 20s mixed in there. So I like him at 7.6. Zadenhout at 7.6. Similar results. I mean, a lot of top 20s. I like playing him when he's in the 7K range. I don't want to be on him when he's in the 8 and 9K range. We need more than a top 20 right here. Get that top 20 and kind of work your way up going into Sunday. I think he can definitely do it. Got our boy Mark Hubbard. EVR is just like one of those guys. Like when I play him, he absolutely fucking sucks. When I don't play him, he gets the job done. But at 7-4, coming off a solid week, like maybe we give him another chance. My guy Rio at 73, I've been playing him. Adam Schenk, 72. He's one of my favorites to play. And then you get to the bottom, and this is where it gets very interesting. I think in the 7K range. For me, I've been playing Matt McNeely. Kind of saw him turning that corner a little bit. 37th at the Farmers, 39th at the AT&T, and then 6th at Waste Management, 13th last week. He's just underpriced in this field. Will the ownership follow? I don't care. Like, he's the guy I've been on, and I'm staying on his ass. So definitely like him. And then Doug Gim kind of goes to that conversation we had in the opening. Guys that are playing well, but really haven't played all that well here. He's the epitome of that conversation because 13th, 12th, 8th, only 7K. I know you've been on him recently. I like my chances with him this week, so I'm going to be on him as well. So, a little bit smaller of a 7K range because we have the 5Ks introduced, which, they're keeping, which I definitely like. In terms of the keeper cut guy, it's going to be Thornborg Olsen. Like, are we going to him? He was really expensive last week. Now he's only 7-7, has some success on the World Tour playing. Wasn't great last week. He got It's going to be Olsen. He's kind of right there on the cut line for me. No lean, to be honest. So I'm rolling with the chat, and I'm rolling with you in regards to this one. The cuts are coming in strong, though. People feel, whoa, the cuts are really coming in fast and furious.
They'll be going
not one keep. All right, this could be a short segment in the 7K range then.
Damn, Nick likes him. One keeper. Now they start to roll. People like going opposite though, but
yeah.
I think this range though, as much as look, I love Adam Svensson, I love Bez. I think both these guys are strong. It's not who you play, it's how you play them. They would definitely be considered donkey chalk because there's guys right beside them. Like Mayo was talking about Taylor Pendrith earlier today. You love your Canadian guys. Hoop Svensson is like 15% or 14%. It looks like Pendrith is like 3 or 4%. So if you just want to play it based off of that, everybody loved Pendrith last week at 9K or whatever it was, and now he's here at 78. Nobody wants to play him. Different course. I get all that. I'm just saying in the sense of comparisons, it's about what's around you. And in this range, there's lots of guys. Olesen is squeezed right between Svensson and Bez. So my 2 votes would go to putting him in the pool. Just because the guy was 10K plus last week and people had interest, and now he drops like a rock, has one bad week, and people are off him. I know it's different. It's tough course, all this stuff, field stronger, but just keeping it in mind, I'm looking at also what he does to everything that's going on around it, and that's the difference maker. So he's fine. Hubbard, I didn't like him as much at the start of the week. I've come around on him a little bit. EVR, I hate to say it, but man, the price dropped to 7,400 and it doesn't look as much, at least as of now. It looks more like 8 to 11 range than what I thought might be like 15 to 20 at the start of the week.
Yeah, I mean, just in hindsight, you look at it, he's been top 25 in 3 out of his last 4. The 8th place finish last week, and the price just dropped. Like you said, you'd assume that the ownership would follow, but I just think there's so many guys down here that it does end up getting spread out. I mean, this is a situation where you'd assume the ownership would be pretty big, but it's simply not the case. So I'm with you on the EVR play. I do have interest in it. It was a guy when we talked on Monday that I didn't have a ton of interest in. Now I think I do. Yeah,
that's the one. I'm waiting on our guy, Rin Shepard. He'll be in here shortly to say finally with you guys. But it takes him to drop to about 7,400 and for everyone else to decide he's not the guy. But we'll see. He's still in the grand scheme of things. It does look like he's still going to be owned versus those around him, like Hubbard, Fox, Ryu, Taylor Montgomery, Shank. All these guys will be lower, and I like some of them. Shank stands out. Matt Wallace can play good. We just played. This was another thing. This field got stronger than what we'd seen of this field in the past. I know Rory does a big boost to that, but just in general. And it was just like a couple weeks ago at the Genesis with Matt Wallace when everyone's playing him because it's a strong field and he does okay in it. Now they're like, don't need him anymore. Why not? He's 7,200. So yeah, good. I tried to get it in. I knew you subconsciously, I had you stepping out for a minute there and I thought we could sneak it in, but yeah, we talked about him for you, Rin. We got you, man. So those guys who Lucas Glover, did you have any take on him? The chat wanted to talk about him. I know he's a guy that pops a little bit in our stuff as well. So I could get to Lucas, I guess, 7,100 versus popular Gim and popular McNeely.
Yeah, the glove don't fit for me. I'm off glove, right? I mean, I'm typically not on him, so it's an easy, pass for me. But if he's one of your guys and you play him a little bit, that's fine. But I have certain guys I just don't play. It's Glover for me. I'm not playing his ass. No.
Yeah, Olesen was a blowout. I'm not even going to post the results. That one's over.
Yeah.
They said not to play him, so he got cut. And then one thing I will say, Billy Horschel, it's a tough click because you got McNeely, you got Gim. We're about to get into the 6K range. Man, Billy Horschel in Florida. This is the spot he usually pops. And I never get into this stuff, but John was there. OG was in the chat this morning posting everything. And he said, I'm just watching him talking to his caddy, and he's just rolling it, man. Like he's back. He loves it in Florida. He loves it on Bermuda. No one can click him when they've got Gim, McNeely, and guys below him there. So he's an interesting click at 7,000. Pops in some other stuff for us. Billy Horschel, that is at 7,000. But let's take it into the 6K range. Give me a few of your favorites in here, and then we'll round out with keeper cut there, and then get to the 5Ks and eventually get out of here.
Yeah, big range for sure. And I'll just go through and kind of rattle off some names that stand out to me. Davis Thompson, 6,800. Another guy that got a really big price decrease from last week. I think he's solid. Ben Griffin, Carson Young at 67. Austin Eckroth, I like. Our guy Bobby Mack finally bounced back in a big way. 6,500. He was solid. And again, we talk about Mac a lot. And last year he was competing in the big boy fields. Like he was going out there getting the job done against some of the best fields. And he's been so bad. Goes to the Mexico Open, gets hot round 2, round 3, solid finish. Like, is this enough to kind of get him going? I'm going to be on him at 6,500 in this field. Lee Hodges, Justin Lauer, stand out as plays to me. Another guy, Sam Stevens let so many people down last week. So many people down. He wasn't expensive. I think it was 7,100 last week, but let so many people down. He's 6'3" now. So now he's down here even more so with the scrubs. I think he's an interesting play going back to him because people are going to say, oh man, I played him last week. He fucked me. I'm done, but you can go back. One random name down here that I've been playing for some reason, it's worked out. Aaron Badley, 6,100. I mean, 3 straight made cuts, 37th, 28th, 24th. Watched some of his round last week. He looks solid out there. So I'm interested in him. And then Ben Silverman at 6K flat. But the guy that the keeper cut guy in this range is going to be our guy, Batia, $6,900. Don't know what to do with him. Like, I don't know. Is this like a good setup for him? I don't really think it is, but he's a guy that I've said on the show, I want to be on him more times than not this season moving forward. Seems like a bad spot for him. I could be wrong, so I need your opinion and the chat. So the keeper cut guy is Akshay Bhatia.
Is McIntyre back?
Bobby Mack?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, Bobby McIntyre. We got him. Bobby Mack is back. Mondo loves your shit. Mondo says right here, as for recent form and putting, I love that at a great price. Last 3 tournaments were pretty decent. Number 1 on tour and putting. Experience at any course. Could fit in some teams. He could actually fit
I
in
like
pretty much
that, man.
any
I like
team
that comment.
that you want to play.
He definitely could at that price tag, but I love that. I love that statement. Oh man, I might have to increase my ownership on Badly after that
these
statement.
These are good ones too. The real C Young, Carson Young is back, and then Brant knows Carson is Cameron's kryptonite. It's every DFS player that played PGA DFS too. You scroll up the board, you played Cameron Young, and you're like, oh baby, Cam Young's up the board. He just made an eagle. You're like, no, that's Carson Young. Just check it out. And then you go.
I can still remember it was like the first event that Carson Young did well at. Cameron Young was there and very popular. Or am I just making this up in my head?
That's why.
That's what happened, right? Yeah.
We might need Bhatia in shirtless Mayo mode as a keep. When he came out of the water that time, no shirt on, just crazy. But okay, they're talking some stuff. Bhatia, Florida guy, grew up near the course, has played it over 100 times.
Is that legit, or is that just like throwing out a number?
The talent is there, though. Like, if you know what he is, and even this is the thing. What do you say about his form? Miscut, 13th. Miscut, 13th. 14th. Yeah. It's a mix. Like, you can't really put a number on it, but you're betting on talent. And John was there earlier. OG John, he said it again. He said Dietrich is the worst price guy, meaning he's talking about like how bad is that price when the guy was 10-3 or whatever it was last week. One bad tournament, falls off an absolute cliff. The guy is super talented. And you go look up some of the other stuff with him, like 4th, 28th, 20th. The guy's been playing great. And now he's down to 6,900 after one bad week where they were trying to price him as if he's the talent of the field up there in the 10K range. I know there's other guys that fit that same bill with Olesen and the others, but man, it is something to note. I like Davis Thompson. He's another guy, was 8,100. I think he missed the cut on the number last week. He's more than fine to me. He's priced here at 6,800. Mayo talked me into Austin Eckroat, another guy that I could easily have seen at 7,300 this week. It wouldn't have really mattered to me. So he's at 6,700. Lee Hodges has some stuff here that, they compare it to some of these other courses. Mayo brought it up on the show we did earlier. There was like 2 or 3 different spots, including when he won the 3M, which is full of water, TPC, like all similar setup where you could see that. He's 6,500. You don't have to pay as much to find out. Michael Kim is a guy at 6,400. You could just find his way through. Chan Kim was who Mayo was trying to sell me on. I think I'd be cutting him before I'm keeping him.
I'm in on him. He's a keep for me. I like him.
Chan Kim.
Yeah.
Grayson Sig seems to be like a guy that would fit it here. He pops a little bit for me. And then Dylan Wu popped up as well. I don't think I'm chasing Ben Silverman. The one thing in the back of my mind with Silverman is just that he basically, was fine last week until it did pick up a little bit and get windy and mess around down the stretch. I don't know. Maybe it was just probably more where he was at, but he's been in the mix in other events. It just wasn't a PGA Tour event where you usually see him in the mix. So maybe it's that, but he's not often in the mix, I should say. So just to keep it from that perspective, but I like Sig, some of those guys there. Baddeley, I don't love, but I like those comments. Andrew said it took off 2 weeks. John said Bhatia loves this course, his own words. See how it goes.
I love the golf course down the street from my house, and I go there and shoot 100. So, I mean, that's not necessarily saying anything.
Better. I mean, that's terrible because you're not good at golf. But as far as analogy goes, but if you were saying it from a DFS perspective, I personally love X tournament every week. So I play it, and then I still lose all my money some weeks in said tournament. So that just tells you I'm good at DFS. I know I am. I have success in it. I'm trying to do well every week, but it doesn't matter what you like. It doesn't. But
does this course fit his game though? Like, does it fit his, what his strengths are in terms of the stats?
That's what we were debating today because he shows up at. Usually it's like I think there was one stat that's like all those resort courses and the coastal courses he really shows up at. But then it was like, I can't remember, it was like Farmers or Genesis, whichever it was that he played most recent, where he did just fine, finished 14th place.
It seems like he's just a volatile. I mean, just based on the results, it's, you don't know what you're going to get. So I don't know. But I mean, it looked pretty split in the chat.
I'll tally him up when you do 5Ks, but I will say one last point to what was the last thing you just brought up? Oh yeah, the volatility. Another process tip, if you don't know this one already, but I think you should, is those are the guys you should play. So that makes me be in on a guy because it's pretty obvious. I just said it, and actually funny, I wasn't even thinking of that when I rolled out just his standard numbers. Miscut, 13th, miscut, 13th, 14th. Yes, he can fall in and make a cut and have a 49th, and it sucks. He did that here last year. But in general, just to say it, you want that kind of volatility, especially when you're talking about a price tag of $6,900. It's not really about does he like the course or did he play here a bunch? It's that what have we seen out of this guy? And this has been going on more than just lately. I mean, the week he won, took it away from Patrick Rogers. It's when he shows up, he's near the top of the leaderboard, really paying off his price tag. When he doesn't show up, didn't matter anyway. Your lineups were probably dead. So, you're set up that way either way. So go into this 5K range, and I'll go back and tally up some of these Akshay numbers.
Yeah, I think there's definitely options down here, and it just depends what you're doing with your lineups. If you're playing a lot of Rory, I think it makes sense to come down here. If you're trying to get more balance, then you probably try to avoid this range a little bit more. But I think there's legitimate guys. I mean, at the top, you got Andrew Novak, top back-to-back top 8 finished tied for 8th in both those events, the Waste Management and the Mexico Open at 5,900. I mean, I don't care if this doesn't really set up well for him. Like, I'll take some chances. Bramlett, 5,900, I think is somewhat interesting. I'm just going to throw out all the names that I think are playable. This Phillips dude, 5,900, he's making cuts, some decent finishes. Garrick Higgos, a guy I always look to. The results have not been good, don't get me wrong, but at 5,800, I am at least somewhat interested. Harry Hall, 57, got the job done for us last week, finished 33rd, 41st the week before at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. So you're looking at back-to-back made cuts, 11 to 8 to keep. Okay, very interesting. All right. We talked about, or you brought up Campillo. on the show Monday. He finished 19th at the Mexico Open. It could be. I mean, he's definitely he's from Spain. So, 5,700 interested there. My guy Neesmith. We'll come back to Neesmith. How about that? We're going to come back to Neesmith at the end. Coming down a little bit more, Troy Merritt, 54, maybe, but definitely on Stanger. Another guy we brought up on the Monday show. He's made some cuts here. He's made 2 out of the last 3, 14th at the American Express, missed a cut at the Farmers, and then 38th last week at the Mexico Open for 5,400. I'll take my chances on Stanger. Got the job done for us as well in one of the showdown.
Real quick, insert Uncle Phil GIF. I don't think we brought up Stanger on Monday. You brought up Jimmy Stanger on Monday, and other people continue to bring him up. I don't recall being a part of that conversation, but you brought him up for sure. That's your boy. You
must have had some sort of response. You must have said something. You were part of the conversation. It might not have been in a good way.
Nice, I'm Uncle Philling you on that one.
I know. I remember the conversation. The conversation you started stroking your boy Cootie down here. We'll get to him in a second. But I'm in on Stanger. I'm in on.
Oh, that's what it was. You said this guy was the most disrespectful price.
Yes.
Range. I said who? We know this guy. I played him in Showdown and stuff. I know who he is. I'm saying it was more funny that you said that he was the most disrespectful price in the 5K range. Shout out to our guy Go Collect. He must have watched the Mayo show. Paul on there talking about Novak Nation.
Yeah, I did hear that. That was a good one.
That was good. If you could do that.
I stand by that statement, by the way, on Stanger. I think he's the most disrespected. He could easily be in the 6s. I'm in on Stanger. I'm definitely playing.
He could easily be in the 6s.
Easily be in the 6s.
Disrespected. He could easily get popped up from the brand new created 5K range to the normal slapdick range of 6K, guys. That's what Oops just told us.
Yes, that's
and when you're wrong, just double down on it, guys. That's the setup. When you know you made a mistake.
He's going to make me so much money this week. I can't wait.
Jordan had me laughing good here. I love Millie Makers. I play them every week. I've played them hundreds of times, yet I've got $0 million. That is correct. That is all of us for sure.
Yes. And that's the difference between you and I. Your dudes, I fucking play. My dudes, you make fun of. And I am playing your Cootie guy at 5,100. Back-to-back made cuts, 25th, 24th. I'm in on Cootie, and you're gonna laugh in my face about my guy Stanger.
Well, it's all love, and I'll tell you what, it's really the truth. I'm always transparent. Is I do better with Hoops picks half the time. It's usually when I'm picking through his stuff and blending it in with some of my game theory and leverage and correlation stuff or whatever it might be across different sports. I have great results doing that. So part of the fun over at SHIPIT Nation is just that. We all get the Hoopster takes. We get in on them. We start putting our own stuff to them. We're all talking about trying to get better at the game of DFS and trying to find ways to the top. That usually is what starts it off for us. So I don't hate that call. The reason I said Parker Cootie was disrespected, and now the ownership's coming with it, is it just didn't make any sense. Last week, he was 7,400 and his brother was free. I know he went out and got the job done, and that made up for that situation. But then this week they just parked them, Parker Cootied them, both down at the exact same price, 5,100 apiece. So I guess everybody's going to see the same thing. Why was he 7,400 and dropped? I guess Pearson couldn't go any further down the board, so that might be why. But I do think that's at least somewhat interesting. Long shot guys. People are talking about this Grayersman guy, Grazerman, I should say, being from the area and all that. Like I just don't want to force these guys. Joe Highsmith stood out on paper. You mentioned Stanger, Jacob Bridgman, OG John, our guy John's been in the chat today. He's down there. He's talking his caddy.
We mentioned Stanger. You're a part of the Stanger conversation.
I said you mentioned him. But anyway, the guy I like, Nasty Nate down here, Nate Lashley, is interesting at 5,700. And then I'll save you. Set up the Matthew Neesmith conversation. You said you were saving this dude.
Yeah, it's just he's the keeper cut option. Are we staying on Neesmith? Are we off? I typically play Neesmith, but I don't know. I actually like a lot of other guys in this range. So he's a guy that undecided on. So Neesmith is the dude in this range, the keeper cut option.
You know what they say? Hoop. Can't spell Jimmy Stanger without steam. You gotta get him steamed up on the show. You can't spell Jimmy Stanger without the steam, baby.
He's gonna go from 0.5% to 1%.
You gotta steam him up, man. You said he was supposed to be in the 6K range, so that's the one, man, right there. Jimmy Steamer. You got him.
Yeah.
So lots of other guys down here. This guy, Aaron, knows what's up, how to follow, subscribe, and tail hoop. That's what we all do. That's why
been the case recently.
It works out well. It's been very good. So anybody down in the 5K range you want to put on the keeper cut conversation, we can do that real quick as we round out the show, get the final thoughts, talk about some extras, and then get out of here.
You're too distracted making fun of my Stanger play, but the keeper cut option is Matthew Neesmith. That's what I thought you were typing up, and you had to put your Jimmy Stanger slander in the chat instead of the. All
right, don't worry, I put it up for you, Matthew.
If that's the option right there, I mean, there's definitely veto power because I'm on my Stanger. There's no question about that.
Keeper cut, Jimmy Stanger. Jimmy Stanger. Do want to go through it here?
You'd have to hack into my DraftKings account to get me to fade Stanger this week.
I don't have options for that, but I do want to show this off quickly because we'll still have it. Even while the big guy is out getting healthy, people were asking about a couple things. One, I do want to just clear it up. Again, appreciate all the well wishes, the thoughts, prayers, everything coming in. Keep sending them directly to James. He's out and about. He's around. He's hitting us up. I mean, he's just got to take this time for himself, but definitely send it over. Comment, hit him up in the DMs, whatever it might be. He'll appreciate that, I know. But just asking about it, one was the Showdown Hoedown Listener League. That will not be out right now. What we're going to try and do is get it back for next week and see if we can get it bigger than ever, try and get everybody out showing their support, hop into that league. We're going to talk through that this week. Just nothing for this week. We had the Fantasy Golf Degenerate Listener League, and then Mayo's Rake Free Listener League is out there as well. But the Stone, the best tool out there in PGA DFS that DGen75 created, is still going to be available. So if you guys are going over to SHIPIT Nation, use that code HOOP15 or DGen15, whatever you guys want to use. It's both the same. I know someone asked me, is that code still on? It is. You get 15% off with either of those codes, but we are going to be giving away the 555 tickets on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, tomorrow. So just keep that in mind. But real quick, if you want everything in one place, the golfers, this from last week, but the DK, people ask about FanDuel. The FanDuel pricing is right on here, and you can make some comparisons. The DK ownership, what type of chalk they are, projection, ceiling, their tee time, if you're looking to do any stacks, win equity. If you're not going to the guy that has all the win equity, maybe you're looking to plug in more win equity down the board to make up for it. That helps you with that. The top 20, the made cut, the recent form, their model rank, their history, optimal, just everything in one place, very easy to use. And then we have it for Showdown as well. So if you go to the site and go PGA Showdown, the Stone, it will actually have the round by round items as well when it comes to their ball striking, their putting. The people ask about the true approach, where it's actually cutting out the silliness of like the one really bad shot to find out. Like, because sometimes people say, oh, that guy sucked on approach. He lost 4 strokes on approach. Well, it's because he went in the water 3 times and went tin cup on hole 18. That obviously doesn't help. He actually was fine the entire rest of the round. He just didn't give a shit on 18. So it cuts through some of that stuff for you guys as well. But if you guys want to check it out, PGA only packages, $299 is the entire season, but you can take 15% off that with Hoop 15. If you go to the all access and you're tired of paying for other sites, or you just want to get it set up in a place you can call home, $509 is for the entire year. If you want to cut it down into 2 payments, you can do a 6-month option, chop it down 15%. Again, all 8 major sports that you're going to get, but for the best value with football when it comes back and everything, you're going to want to have the annual for $509. Just click join today, use code HOOP15. Hoop, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Yeah, looking forward to this week. I mean, let's keep the momentum going. We've had some very strong PGA finishes among the other sports. We'll be in the Discord all night. Content is basically finished. Looking forward again to another big week and building this momentum heading into some of these majors. So, if you're not a member, head on over at shipitnation.com. Hop into one of these packages. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Our all-in price is basically the same price that other sites are charging for one sport. We have all the 8 major sports on DraftKings and FanDuel. So you pay one price for all these sports, where on the other sites, you get literally one sport. It's $509 right now with the deal. Hoop 15 will get you that 15% off, and that renews over and over and over. So make sure head on over to shipitnation.com and check it all out.
Yeah, get the course. I just put it up on the screen real quick, but just so you guys see it here too. If you go over to my X handle at ToeTagginTambo, the giveaway is still up. You guys can go. Just got to like, repost, and follow. We're going to be giving away 3 copies of the course that we just showed you. And maybe I might just up it and say, I'll just give you a full 1-month membership is what I'm going to change it to. That gets you access to all the courses, and it will get you in on the action for all the sports that we've got going on right now. MMA has been on fire. Hoop literally won it back-to-back weeks. And talk about following Hoop, he just follows what Title and Marley say because we have the best MMA team and they know what they're talking about. So really easy stuff, really fun. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks for all the support. Reach out to our guy at the Degenerate75. Let him know your thoughts, prayers, wishes, everything. We're going to be in touch with you guys on all of that and more. Thanks for watching. For Hoop, for myself, ToeTagginTambo, let's ship it.